So before we came along today, we did ask people what they wanted to hear around employee engagement, and we gave them some choices of the sort of subjects we were going to cover. The results, to be honest, were fairly expected. I guess I would say that whilst mental health and sort of the impact of mental health is an area that many businesses want to know about, I was surprised it was so far up the list, and it was clearly the number one for this particular sector. I was also a little bit surprised around some of the things that weren't on the list, and particularly engaging with some of the younger people and millennials. That's an area, I guess, possibly because the average age in the sector is slightly higher than it might be in some sectors. But bearing in mind the first millennial will be 40 in a few years, it's certainly not a group of people we should be ignoring in all of this. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the term employee engagement because I'm not sure many people really know what it means, and I also think it's very difficult to measure. However, if we talk about employee experience and the impact of creating a really positive employee experience, that becomes slightly easier to understand and measure. And then if we break that down, we know that those organisations that really embrace this, for example, will have a much higher customer satisfaction rate. In fact, their customer satisfaction rate will be improved by 10%, according to some Gallup polls. We know that they will significantly improve their absence rates, and they'll also have a 17% increase in productivity. I think it all boils down to the importance of communicating the benefits and wellbeing strategies that organisations have, because if you don't adequately communicate, then you're wasting your time and your money. The importance of technology in communication is significant, and I think using the right technology increases the opportunity for people to engage with benefits and well-being both in the workplace but also at home. I think there will be many people in the workplace that perhaps don't have the time or access to technology, but 98% of us as employees have access to some technology at home. So creating a strategy that allows for people to engage and understand their benefits, both using workplace technology but also apps and smartphones and internet in their home time, and also involving their partners and their family in some of those decisions is vital. Yeah, so I think there's a bit of a myth around the need to spend lots of money when you get a great benefit and wellbeing strategy. There are lots of things that we can do that don't cost anything at all, and lots of things we can do that have low cost. So examples I would include just saying thank you. That makes us all feel great and significantly improves our well-being. So saying thank you costs nothing. I think communicating what we've already got in place is not going to increase your costs, but you're going to get a higher return on the investment of the spend you're already making in these areas. I think there's also other things that we can do that don't cost money. For example, encouraging people to get off their desks or their chairs during lunchtime and go for walks. It's important that we all connect with each other, so actually things like having local working groups or encouraging people to go to walks with each other around the local countryside is something we can do that doesn't cost anything at all. Maybe encouraging people to have some lunchtime learning sessions where we can learn from each other. Again, we can set those up at very, very low cost. There's a whole range of things that we can do that doesn't cost any money. I think the opportunities are significantly increased though if you do embrace technology, because if you have some platform or communication tool that you can use to make available some free resources, some free apps in a whole sort of benefit and wellbeing area. If you can have that all hanging off one place that people know where to go, that will make a big impact. I think in terms of communications, it's pretty common for organisations to have little in the way of a communication strategy in terms of internal communications. I think the sector, the education sector, is particularly poor at doing some of this, but they're not hugely unusual. And it's a real shame because there are so many good things that go on within an organisation, and if you don't communicate them and celebrate them, then you're not going to get the return on investment that you're looking for. And again, it doesn't have to cost lots of money. So just by recycling some of the communications that you're already doing through different channels is important. I think we all have to recognise that as individuals, we all receive information in different ways and have a need to receive that information at different times in our lives. So having something that is consistent and uses lots of different channels, for example, social media, perhaps intranets or emails, perhaps a communication tool or portal, or maybe just putting some posters up on the wall. But one of the things that we find really valuable is where we can get colleagues or peers to share some stories and share some information about some of the benefits and experiences that they've got. That has huge impact because if colleagues are hearing it from each other, then they are more likely to believe it and trust in that information than they would potentially if it was driven down from the top. So in our organisation, we think it's really important to have values that employees believe in, but not just put them on the wall. We want to sort of live and breathe those values so they become part of our culture and our DNA. We also think it's important to link our wellbeing and benefit strategy to those values so that it supports all the great things that we want to do as an organisation. So at PES, we do try and practice what we preach. We have 4 clear values that employees have helped us build and create. One of them is do the right thing. So for us, it's important as an organisation that we are providing a range of tools and a range of benefits to support employees in all aspects of their lives. So providing access to healthcare and various insurances is important. One of our values is to have a fun approach. We think that we spend too long at work, so we want to try and have some fun and be happy. So we do a range of activities that support that, from sort of games and competitions in the workplace. We have a concept of houses, a bit like being at school, whereby we create teams across all the different disciplines we have in the organisation, which allows us to work with different members of our business. And also focus on activities such as communication, doing some charitable work, doing some competitions, and that really supports both the values and all the well-being of our people. Another of our values is to be refreshingly different, so we try and do things that are a little bit innovative. So we give everybody their birthday off. We have the house system, which supports that too, and a range of other things in that space. And then our other value is working together. So again, the houses and the charity work that we do means that people have the opportunity to connect and work together. We also encourage lunchtime learning sessions whereby people can meet and share experiences and stories and learnings during their lunch break.